Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. It is St. Louis in July, so that means I am trying to stay unmelted. And usually I'm a much more presentable, but today I'm not because everything makes me sweaty. And also we're gonna have a great conversation because we are in the season of summer and we're gonna talk about seasons and cycles and the rhythms of work and how to honor those to be more productive than ever. And I'm here with my new best friend, Robin Berlinsky. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Marianne.
I'm so excited to talk about this because we've honestly never talked about this cycle of work, right? And getting through the busy and then what happens after and how you deal with that. And that was my dog Tina Turner that came in here. Um, so before we get started, I always start with the first question. So tell me something that you're really proud of that you don't get to brag about a lot.
Oh my gosh, I love it. What am I really proud of? I don't get to brag about a lot. Well, I guess I'm a single mother and my kids were like in the early teens and they turned out great and I was able to buy a house by myself. I just got a new car the other day and I navigated that car buying experience like a rock star. And it feels really good to be an independent girl boss.
Right. Like you got it all. I love that. I also love buying cars. That's
You
one of my favorite.
do?
Yeah, it's my favorite games. So fun.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And so congratulations on all that and the kids and everything. You
Thank
should
you.
brag about that a lot more. I think we're learning. I think women are learning I don't want, I'm just gonna say it. People who are listening, you can buy this or not. It's totally up to you. But we were sold, a package that if you do these things and make all these choices, then your life is going to be great. And we realized, wow, it always doesn't work out that way. And actually, I can count on myself more than I ever thought I could. Yeah. So congratulations to you. So let's talk about the cycles and seasons of work and just give us a little bit over like who you are and then how this because we're going to talk about a couple different things that you do, but who you are and how this impacts the nonprofit that you run.
Sure. So I'm a teacher at heart. I was the one teaching my teddy bears when I was little and grew up to be a teacher. And when my kids were small, I was home and got caught up in the world of children's museums and became part of the task force that built out, had a capital campaign, and created the Children's Museum of the Low Country here in Charleston. And that was my toe dipping into the world of nonprofits, and I've never gone back. I continue to work in the nonprofit world, and it's all about education and leadership, which is what I really want to talk about and part of the ebb and flow of how nonprofits work. So, coming from the classroom, if you think about it, there are seasons. You have the first day of school, everybody has their new shoes and their new book bag and their lunchbox, shiny lunchbox. And then, you get to the middle of the year and you've got your holidays, and then all of a sudden it's summer vacation and you have summer. So as a teacher, I had all those hellos and goodbyes, new students coming in, new curriculum. And then when I went to the Children's Museum, I noticed there were different seasons. It wasn't the end of the school year. Like in the summer, we got busier because of summer camps. And after school, we were busier because the kids weren't in school. So I learned to pick up on those subtle clues of what it means to be seasonal in the nonprofit world.
Okay, so how does this work? Because you're the CEO of Engaging Creative Minds, an arts-based education nonprofit. You provide art and entrepreneurship programs to schools across South Carolina. So how does this affect your nonprofit now?
How does the ebb and flow?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So here's the fun. So the best part of being a CEO is I get to continue to be a teacher, meaning I get to inspire people to learn and grow and be better after working with me, right? So like that's my ultimate goal. I want to grow people. And so in the nonprofit world, when I see these seasons that I'm like, that's a superpower. It's almost like my antenna goes up and I'm like, oh, a season. We call them ebb and flow, or not ebb and flow, but we call it hustle and lull. So right now, Friday's the last day of summer camp. We have been going for 7 strong weeks in 7 schools across the state, 16-hour days, go, 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 kids happy, singing, dancing. Whoo, hustle, right? And Friday, it ends. And the next week starts the lull. And what I do as a leader, and this is something I'm really proud of, is I tell my staff that the most important thing they can do is embrace the lull as emphatically as they embrace the hustle, which means they don't fill their days with busy work because they feel like they have to be doing something from 8 to 4, but it's that they sit in the quiet time. They reflect on the things that went right and the things that didn't go so well. And they organize their drive and go through their emails. And like all of that is just as important as flying to summer camp and dancing with the kids. And so that ebb and flow, the hustle and the lull, is how it impacts our nonprofit, and that they have permission to kind of sit back and have those relaxing days, knowing the hustle's on the way. It's coming. We got another one coming up.
Right,
That's how it
right.
affects.
So I, in my experience, because like we are ladies of a certain age, right? I'm almost 60. So, right, been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yep.
That in my experience, that nonprofits are reluctant to embrace a lull, to even have a lull, much less embrace one, and to really luxuriate with it and understand the purpose of the ebb and flow, right? Of the cycle, of the natural rhythm of the work that you do. Because what I'm hearing is you're picking up every place where I would use the word rhythm, the rhythm of a school year, the rhythm of the museum, the rhythm, of your place now. And why do you feel like they are so reluctant to have a lull? Because I think this is a big crisis for us.
Yes. And I'll go all the way back like 2,500 years, right? Socrates said, know thyself, know thyself. And that really was a big thing for me as I was going through my career over the past 30 years, is learning more about human design, learning more about all the ways, like you can take all those surveys and quizzes and learn more about your leadership style, your work style, your relationship style, all the things, right? To understand how we communicate, what is our zone of genius? Are we a morning person? Are we a night person? Like I'm very, very intentional about recognizing all my zones of genius so that I can intentionally work on them. Like we do a golden circle project every August because we're in a lull, camps are over, school hasn't started. And everyone on the team makes their golden circle where they put in all the tasks that are in their zone, which is center of the circle, and things they don't really love that go way out here. And we take all that and we shake it up and we look at an org chart, and like it's a 30,000 view of our organization. And the only way to do your golden circle is to get a hot cup of tea in your fuzzy slippers and sit in a chair and play spa music and sit with it. Because creativity doesn't flow when we're under stress. Like that's how you make a diamond. That's not how you sustain a nonprofit. And so we sit in those moments. We get to know who we are as humans and then who we are as humans at work, and like how do we work with it, not against it. It's like when you think about salmon, they don't say let's swim upstream today because the grant says we're supposed to. Like they swim upstream because it's this like you said, a rhythm. They feel it. And that's what we as nonprofit leaders need to do, is embrace those rhythms, because it takes a lot of energy to fight against something that nature
Yes.
is presenting to us. Like when we fight it just, those moments you're like, oh, I'm exhausted.
It
Just gotta
takes
go.
more energy to fight it, right? One of my
Yes,
coaches always told me hustle and grind is not sustainable. Grace, ease, and flow is sustainable. And
love
yet, and yet, though, I feel like we live in a culture that really values the hustle and grind. We don't value the capitalistic nature of our culture values the hustle. But it's just that's why we're all burnt out, right? It's just not, I mean, and I'm sure that's what you've seen. It's just not sustainable.
it's not sustainable, but neither is a lull. If you're in a lull all the time,
Yeah, for
you're bored,
sure. Right.
you're like, so you want both. Without both, we're like just, on a hamster wheel.
I use the Rumi quote a lot, right? You give from the overflow, not the depths of the well. And so it's the overflow, right? And that's what I work with people on, filling their cup, right? So you have like you get the inspiration, you get the energy,
Yeah.
you really up level how you think and feel about yourself and your work. So you're giving from the overflow. But that like that for me, a lull is the cup filler, right? Where you're building the energy. So this is how I see it, is like I have a like there's like people who are like you could be like an accordion where you can expand and have a lot of work, but then you're going to contract, right? And because and then but sometimes I think maybe a board or an ED will say, "Oh, look how much work you did that time. Let's do that again." You're like, "Oh my God, it took you everything to do that." And that's I think when people become burnt out. And I love what you said about the lull. Like a lull isn't sustainable either, right? But it's
Right.
honoring and I do want to hear because you talked a lot about like in the body, it's honoring the natural rhythm of the body, you know, like and I had a client for a while and she was really introverted and but she was great fundraiser, an incredible one-on-one relationship builder. But they would do events. And she said, Miriam, maybe I shouldn't be in development because these events exhaust me it because it took a lot of energy for her, and so we figured out to build a cycle into her event, like right. So if that's the right, if that's the what's the lull for her after the event, right? So
Yes.
what's the hustle is the event because it takes her a lot of energy it and then what's the law? Okay, so how can you rebuild your, like don't no meetings for the next few days, like clear your calendar, but also feeling like you have the sovereignty to be able to do that, right? And
Yes.
that you can, right? And you can do that. And I just like, oh, I could do, yeah, of course you could do that. That we don't feel allowed to be able to have the law. And not just because that's what I think, and that's what I want to go back to, because it's not even just embracing the law, it's even allowing for it.
So true. I sent out a newsletter on Sunday and it was about so I when I moved from Western New York to coastal South Carolina a long time ago, 1990, I had Halloween sweaters because I was a teacher. I had my thick Halloween sweaters and I would put them on Halloween and go to school and I'd be sweating. It's 89 degrees. It's October 31st. And then I would like at Christmas time, I'd like look, wait, oh, we might have a snow day. And everyone's like, there are no snow days. It doesn't snow. And it took me, it was so much energy, like expectations is where I'm going with this, is the expectation and the disappointment over and over and over again. And these sweaters I couldn't wear, and there's no snow at Christmas, and there's no snow days. And finally, once I recognized it and embraced it, I kind of rode it instead of fighting it. I understood, like, oh, I can do my yard work in February and March. It's not hot yet. The ground is not frozen. So it wasn't that the seasons weren't here, it was the seasons were different. And once I recognized what they were, my life got so much easier. Like that piece was gone of the expectations, disappointment. So it's so much about knowing thyself and then knowing like where are you in this ecosystem of the nonprofit you run or the nonprofit you work for, and what are your expectations? And if you're constantly disappointed, shift. You got to change something. And then just being aware is the point, and then understanding that sometimes you're not going to get what you want, but you're always going to get what feels natural, what comes natural, so you don't have to fight for it.
Right. Because fighting against the natural cycles that the ebb and flow, right? The hustle and the lull is so it takes so much more energy than just going with it.
Exactly.
Okay, so there is a book. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, and I've recommended it before. It's called Do Less, and it's a book. I think her Kate
Northrop.
Northrop. Yeah, Do Less.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and oh, so you're familiar. So I'm
Yep.
going to let everybody know. Okay, so the book is about this woman, and she and her husband ran a business, and she got pregnant, and then she took a year off, or she didn't take a year off, but she worked about half time for a year for this business, and she's like, everything was fine. Like, wait a minute, they didn't grow, but they didn't shrink. Like it was fine. And she's like, wait, if I was working 40, 50 hours a week and I got the same amount done in 15 to 20 hours a week. What in the world was I doing for those other 20 hours? And so, and it's an examination of how we kind of fill our time to make ourselves feel important. And also honoring the natural rhythms in this case, of women, because this is a book specifically for women or people who cycle. And if you don't cycle anymore, it's the cycle of the moon. To honor that, and a couple of my clients have really embraced that. Right? because we're working against our body, we're working against the seasons, and it's just exhausting. Anyway, so she right, and so I don't know what your experience is. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. And when we so something that's kind of fun to see happen, is kind of stressful as it is. Like when we onboard new employees, it's almost like there's this moment of like detox in a way, because we have a culture that really embraces kind of all the things you were saying. We respect. We lean into like the Brene Brown rumble and have difficult conversations. And we're all about, again, the ebb and the flow, respecting the downtime just as much as we respect the hard times, and that grinding from 8 to 4 is not rewarded. We don't reward that. And one thing that's really big is when a mistake happens, whatever that is, because we're all human, they're going to happen. When a mistake happens, we immediately, if it involves somebody else, we got to like make it right. We're just going to address it. And then we're going to say what happened. And it's not a who did it. There's no blame, no shame. It's what happened. And all the people that have worked here forever know that it's okay to say, I forgot to send the email. I didn't call the student. And we don't say, oh my gosh, you suck. We say, like, okay, how do we prevent that from happening again? Where was the human error piece that we can all work together, create a policy, a system, a procedure to avoid? Because when we do those kinds of thoughtful moments together, the winner is the nonprofit. And what we say when we rumble, when we're going to schedule a time where there's this misunderstanding and we're going to bed with a stomach ache, we got to talk to somebody about something. We're not going into it like a lawyer. We don't have our defense. We don't have our briefcase and all of our note and all the things. We go in to seek understanding so the organization can win. That is the only winner in a rumble, the organization. No person will win. And if you're out to win, you're in the wrong place. And so this onboarding of new employees, they're almost like skeptical, like, is this a trick? Is she testing me? When we say all the things that, like, we're gonna rumble, who did it? And it's
Is
interesting that
this for real?
exactly. So that's what we get. And some people don't make it because it's hard to have difficult conversations. It's
It can
hard
it
to
can be. It can
it
be.
can be hard. So, we embrace it. And again, the organization, we just call it, we're abundant. We have an amazing board. They're very engaged. Our employees don't leave. We have funding coming in constantly. We have people reaching out. We're expanding. Our customers, our students, our teachers are happy. Like, it is so amazing. And it's kind of to your point, we relax. We relax. It's the Kate Northrup. Let it come to us, because we are intentionally good, and we are responding on a human level to everything, and we're open. We're just like, what's the Buddhist, attached to nothing, open to everything. Like,
Yeah, that's one of the things I talk all the time is release the outcome, right?
yes,
Detach, right? Attach, because you're more likely to get the less you want something, the more likely you get what you want, i.e. going to buy a car. That's why I'm so good at it, because if you don't like, it's a car.
yep.
I'm not, if it's going to work for me, it's going to work. If it's not, it's not, because I'm open to everything. I want to say one thing, and then because what you just entered into is a real conversation about abundance, which I think is really important. But before that, I would love to just shift a perspective on your rumbles a little bit. Okay. Would you be open to that?
Always, I'm open to everything.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, and I guess this is I don't know, Brene Brown thing, like where you rumble, like, right? I would suggest, and this is just me, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of coaching, because a rumble assumes that I'm setting the expectation that something difficult or contentious is gonna happen, right? So maybe there's a different language that we could use,
Mhm.
that doesn't set my mind like I have to rumble, right?
Yep.
Now, see what I'm saying? The other thing is, one of the things I work with people on is this idea of the binary, which you're talking about, like the polarity of I win, you lose, I win, right? And what you're saying is no, as like we're here to serve, the organization wins. But I think in a situation like that, I would say, what would it look like for everyone to win? What would it look like for everyone to get their needs met? Because we assume that if you get your needs met, I won't get mine met. right?
Mhm.
So what would it look like for you to win, and the organization? And ideally, I think that's what you're doing in these
Yeah.
situations, right?
Yeah.
But it takes sometimes some compromise. It takes some truth telling, like setting up a space where it's okay, where people can understand how to give and receive that kind of feedback. Because what I call like the secret option C, like what would it look like for everyone to win? Because
I
we've been
love that.
taught, again, we've been taught, just like we're talking about scarcity, like, oh, if I take this, then that's less for you and more for me. And that's really not how it works, but that's kind of a lie we've been told,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so thank you for receiving that. You can
Oh,
do
I
with that
love that.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, and I want to get into the scarcity mindset, which I think is driving the idea of not being able to lull, not being able to inhale. I hear so many people are talking about, oh, the fourth quarter is crazy. I talk about how to survive the fourth quarter crazies. And one of the things is like, okay, we're gonna do the first quarter inhale. Oh no, we just jump right into the next thing. There's no time for that. And I know one of the things that you work on, or you're with organizations, and your long-term plan is to help them embrace abundance. So I'd love to hear about, like, if you're in a culture, if somebody's listening right now and is trapped in this culture of scarcity, or in your mind is trapped in scarcity, how can we move out of that so that we can do something like a lull? I want to say this really quick. I had a colleague who took a 3 month sabbatical. She runs a nonprofit called in St. Louis. She took a 3 month sabbatical. And I keep trying to get her on this podcast to tell people how she did it. But she allowed herself, right? She set it all up. She gave herself her own lull. And
Love.
right? I,
Yep.
and you know what? Everything was just fine.
We were all waiting when she came back, right?
Every all was good,
Yep.
right? So how
Yep.
can we embrace more things like that and just have that
Um,
trust that everything's going to be okay?
yeah, it's interesting. That's a great question. And I would say the best exercise, like you've probably heard like when there's always someone worse off, right? Like when you have your last $5, give it away, right? More will come. Like all the theories we know, Gabby Bernstein and all the universe has your back mentality, wisdom. And so, one exercise I do with nonprofits who feel that there's not anything for us, we've tried, we've written that grant, we never get them, no one calls me back, all those things, right? That scarcity mindset, because they've been beaten down, they've been beaten up. So, what I say, what I challenge nonprofit leaders to do who are feeling any kind of scarcity is to look around in your community. What nonprofit has received a huge donation? What nonprofit is receiving an award? Is there a nonprofit being recognized by AFP? Is there a nonprofit having a gala or an event? Like somewhere, someone in your community, a nonprofit is celebrating something. Go to the event and celebrate them. So when a nonprofit, so this is a true story, a couple years ago, those Mackenzie Scott grants, the $1 million grants, right?
Yeah.
We applied. We did not get one. A nonprofit down the street did. And we went to their celebration. We cheered. We celebrated the fact that a Charleston based nonprofit is part of that generous donation. And we have driven an hour and a half to our state capital in Columbia to celebrate other nonprofits who win awards that we also applied for. We were nominated for the exact same award, did not get it. We take our staff up, we buy a table, we celebrate, and we get photos with them. And then we post it on social media. Look what they won. We're so excited to work side by side with this partner in South Carolina. Those small acts of celebration and kindness level up the abundant mindset like nothing else can, because it's knowing that when another nonprofit gets the big check, it doesn't mean it's not there for us. It's actually the opposite. It's showing us what's possible. When
Right.
I see a nonprofit on stage getting a $1 million check, I'm like, that's out there. This is possible. This is a small nonprofit just like us. Let's go. We're open for this. So it's those small things you can do that will really shift from there's nothing for us to wow, look what's available.
Yeah. One of the things I tell people is there's facts and there's feelings. And the feeling is there's scarcity, the money's not there. Oh. But if you had to go to court and make a presentation in front of a judge and say, here's all the ways that, here's all the ways that I'm supported. right? Because the money will come, but the mindset doesn't shift, right? Like oh right, and you know what? That just showed up, and that came through, and that person. Oh right, because the fact is you are abundant, but the feeling is of scarcity. But if you look at the like you look because we look for evidence to support the mindset. Right. So if we're feeling abundant, we find evidence of abundance, right? If we're
Yeah.
feeling scarce, we find evidence of scarcity. And so whatever, right, wherever I have a philosophy, it's the energy creates thoughts, thoughts create words, words create reality. So if our energetic is off, right, and that what I love what you're saying, go tap into somebody else's, right, and get out of your own space and go just celebrate, like, and celebrate other people's successes. And in our culture, we have been taught to be very siloed, right? We have to keep our money close and our donors closer. And because, there's only so much money for philanthropy, which is a lie because the universe is abundant and there's plenty for everybody. Um, but we were taught that. And so to go celebrate someone else's success is like, what? And it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we recently won a state award. We won the South Carolina Governor's Award for Arts Education. Huge. It's the highest honor in the state of South Carolina. And we had nonprofits driving 3.5, 4 hours to come here to celebrate with us. And that moment for us was that law of reciprocity. Not that we did those things because we wanted them to come to this, but it shows that their mindset is also shifting, that they're celebrating with us. And we are a community, that our state is a community of nonprofits. We support one another. And something I do is like when I'm looking for a grant, whether it applies to us or not, if I can write it or not, I share it with another nonprofit that it also could benefit from this grant because, like you said, it's not that there's no money. The money's it's out there. We just have to raise our hands. And if the grantor, the funder is not going to choose Engaging Creative Minds, maybe it will choose ABC nonprofit that I sent over sent the grant to. And imagine when they get the funding, how grateful they'll be, and we've created this really positive line of communication between us. So again, it's all about just lifting everyone and not feeling like we're isolated. Like you said, we're not alone. We're all in this together.
Right. And then when we, share those resources and share those, we can get so much more done.
Yes.
So, all right, this is wonderful. And what you were sharing with me as your kind of your third act, I'm gonna call it, like we're ladies of a certain age, your third act, that of being of service to nonprofits, especially around the mindset and their ability to you call it the seven figure mindset. I would love to share a little bit more about what that is and how you can help.
Yeah. So it's all, again, mindset is everything, right? It's,
Sure.
your perception's your reality. And, yes, the third act is here. I turned 60 2 years ago. So next month I'll be 62. And I am embracing this third act, right? So for the first 30 years, I was building it all. In the next 30 years, the children, and now it's like my time to build, to give back, to share. I've been so blessed with being a part of building and sustaining nonprofits that are doing such great work and impacting the community in so many ways. And it's been so much fun. I want to give back. My friends who are of the same age, who are slowly starting to retire, and they're looking at me, I'm like, I'm just getting started. Like, I am just getting started. So it's just this feeling that I have that everything I've learned, everything that I've been so blessed to receive as a nonprofit leader, I want to share. I want to give it back because 9 times out of 10, when a nonprofit says something to me, I've experienced that in some
Yeah.
way. There's a connection. And I can say, oh, let me tell you a story, or this is what happened, or this is how I handled it, and this is the result, just so that they know they're not alone and that there are different ways to look at things. Like, again, there's two people can look at the same event and take away two totally different things. And that whole perception is just really important. So the 7 Figure Mindset Minute is a recorded weekly recording that I send out. That's what I'm working on each week as a nonprofit leader. Like things like this week, I'm bringing back my podcast, which, by the way, you need to come be on. I'm
Yay.
stopped doing it a year ago and did other things, and it's time to relaunch. I want to celebrate nonprofits. And then, that was 2 days ago. And then the week before, I would talk about the National Council of Nonprofits and our local chapter, and they're requesting proposals for breakout sessions and how can you get on stage and just all the things that you need to be thinking about that aren't really on your top of mind on a day-to-day basis when you're running your nonprofit, but they're so important. Like sometimes, and you know this, going out for a coffee is going to bring in way more than sitting and answering your emails. Like there's so much more in building the relationships. And I love to say money's not a number game, it's a people game.
Yeah.
Money is all about people.
I
And
say relationships first, money will follow. That's it.
there you
You
go.
you focus on the relationship, the money will come. And that's how
Exactly.
I run my business, by the way, right? Like I this is why I do this podcast. That's why I put content out every week because I
Yep.
know relationship first, the money will follow.
Yep.
If I'm making friends with somebody because they have money, that's disingenuous at worst, at manipulate, disingenuous
Yep.
at best and manipulative at worst. It's like it's it's not aligned. And I think that's again, and we haven't really talked too specifically around fundraising, but that's right. The fundraising was like, oh, you got to go meet this person because they have money. No, I'm going to meet this person because we have an affinity for the same, we want to see the same change in the world.
Yes.
In the relation, but you said the same thing I do, we just say it a different way. You're exactly right.
I love it. We are best friends. I'm really loving this
Oh yeah.
conversation.
I only bring my very best friends on this show that I meet when they
Love it.
enter the screen.
And I love Tina Turner, by the way.
Oh, my puppy. We have a foster puppy too. She was, they themed the letters, and these letters were all, the Miss Lotto was the mom, and so her name's Mega Millions, but she's very shy. So she came up here the other day and then she ran right out. But yeah. Oh, this has been wonderful, Robin. This is fantastic. And if people want to get into this mindset minute, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to theabundantnonprofit.com or follow me on Instagram at Robin_Berlinsky. And yeah, I would love to share some mindset shifts with your
Okay.
listeners.
Yeah, so your Instagram is in the is it will be in the show notes so people can find you there. Okay. This has been wonderful. Thank you for bringing to the forefront the idea of the cycles, of the hustle and the lull, of the ebb and flow, because it is so critical to our life, our growth, our well-being, and not just in work, right? And just our life and just honoring the body and what it's telling you. I'm actually in a lull right now because my word for the year is inspiration. And here's my thing. Hold on. And I can't find it. Okay, well, anyway, so my word for the year is inspiration. And so if it doesn't inspire me, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fake it. I'm going to push through it. And I've delayed things and moved some stuff around because I'm really sticking to this idea of inspiration. Here it is. I knew it
I
was here. If
love
you're
that.
listening to this, I'm sorry, but if you're watching, so it's inspiration. My long-term coaching program. Every year we do vision boards, and this year we decided to do vision notebooks. And so I got these really hard-bound, thick notebooks that they can journal in for the year. And but my word for the year is inspiration.
I love that.
Yeah. And because I think that's where it comes from, because if you're not inspired to do it, there's going to be resistance. And then that resistance, right, that creates the tension and like give me the money, now go away kind of thing. Um So thank you for this. And I always wrap up with the last question. So obviously I'll be, coming to South Carolina, or you'll be coming to St. Louis. And so if we ever find ourselves in a karaoke bar, which if you're with me, there's a high probability of that happening. What is your go-to song?
Jump, Van Halen.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go.
You said that. I believe you. You said that with a lot of confidence. I get it. And I never hear people sing that song, so that'll be perfect.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
It's a date. I can't wait. Robin, thanks so much for being here with me, spending time. It was great to meet you.
So
And
great. Thank you
keep
so
doing it.
much.
Keep spreading the love and the good word and the abundance to everybody.
Thank you. This was great.